ever get mad at God or blame him for taking someone away from you? If so, what does that look like? And if not, what does it not look like or feel like? So Dad, here's a lament question. And I have a lot more in the book. These are just 5 I picked out. But really, you're asking her about a loss or grief that she's carried. It might be a pet she's lost. It might be a teacher or a best friend. It might not be to death. But I mean, I could tell you about losing my first best friend when I was in 6th grade, and she chose a new best friend. Well, it might not surprise you to hear I've had that theme repeated, because it's just the nature of, I don't, does that happen? You know, I say I'm from Venus, you're from Mars. John, I literally haven't thought to ask a guy this. Do you have many stories of losing a best friend where a guy picked a new best friend? I'm guessing not really. It seems like more of a chick thing.
Yeah, I think it is. I think guys, at least in growing up, especially even as a young man, when I had a good best friend who was a pastor's kid, and they moved to Arkansas. I remember, like, you know, for a week or two, just being all down and bummed. But then it was like, you know, the next thing I know, I got another new best friend, blah, blah, blah. But I love this question because it does, I think so many of us, even as adults, there's things like this that we don't discuss that are in our past that we don't even realize played a part in as unimportant as we may think it is because it was so many years ago or whatever, a pet death or whatever. I think this is where we really tune into our daughters' hearts, where they see, man, Dad's really interested in me, my concerns, my worries, everything going on in my life. So I love that question.
And did you notice that I included God? Is that, you know, like, here's the question again. Can you remember, or here, can you remember a time where you ever got mad at God or blamed him for taking someone away from you, or a job promotion, something away from you? And then you ask her to tell you more. Because just last Friday, one of my sisters, it was her birthday, and she, my mom, and I were sitting at lunch. And actually that came up organically with tears coming down her face about some significant losses and blaming God. And not wanting to blame him, but saying, I don't understand. He has a lot of explaining to do. Wow, I really felt like I was on holy ground that she would be that open and vulnerable with us. And so, Dad, if you might be one that might be quick to go, now, you know, God is sovereign and he has all things in his hands. And, you know, he works all things together for good. That's the best way to shut her down. But you're just saying, tell me the stories. Tell me the stories of where you've been hurt and there's been a loss. Have you ever blamed God for that? She might have actually thought that, but thought, I don't think my dad could handle knowing that. So you're leading in the conversation and leading her to tell you more by asking it that way.
Well, too, and I think, too, in exemplifying vulnerability, because us as men really have a tough time doing it, but for her to see in her dad, you know, for I think daughters to see dads cry, to show real emotion in a world that tells us not to, you know, that all of this other mess, that it's like, it's okay to be real. And my girls have seen me, my girls have seen me cry multiple times, and I got no problem with it, you know.
Awesome.
But it just, I think it helps them see that, again, I'm human, I make mistakes, I mess up, and it's okay. It's okay to be real and vulnerable with other people, which most women don't have a problem with that. But for them to see a man do it, I think it is very, very important. So I think
there's a gift in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're going to bond more. And I've even found that a lot of men experiencing as dads more healing for some of their stuff that they didn't even know needed healing. But as they talk with their daughters more with these scripted questions, it's unearthing some things in their history that they didn't even think about doing work on. Daughters have a way of doing that, don't they? Of kind of getting into that heart space. And so, Dad, again, like John was just saying about telling your story, these questions are a great way maybe for you to model to your daughter. And I say maybe, it might not be your style or you might not be ready to go there. But John and I are we're champions of fathers and saying, here, Dad, tell your own story first of maybe being mad at God and blaming him for a loss. Tell her how you worked it out or where you're still stuck.
Well, no, and I think that even that is such is a great piece of advice, because I know a lot of times in talking with my daughters, what helps them, the walls to come down,
Yeah.
is to share, maybe start out sharing one of my own things that of a story, like you just said. If I'm wanting them to share about a place or a thing that's happened in their lives, and that they believe God caused or allowed to happen or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'll start out and say, hey, you know what? And then I share my own story. And so then it really helps them open up to go, wow, you know what, Dad? Me too.